Welcome to my channel. On this video, you will be watching the curriculum designs based on the work of Einstein and Hunkins. After watching this video, you will be learning curriculum designs, the sources of curriculum, complexities of curriculum designs, and the representatives of curriculum designs. Now you have to stay on this channel, and please don't forget to click the like button, the subscribe button, and click the bell if possible. And the last is you have to share this to your video, to your friends. Now here are the learning outcomes that you have to understand. Number one, you have to discuss the complexities behind the curriculum design. Number two on here is we have to describe the components of curriculum design. Number three, we have to explain the curriculum design dimensions and considerations. And number four, on here, we have to discuss the various curriculum designs in both the modern and the postmodern frameworks. Now let's start with the complexities of curriculum designs. In curriculum design, we put ourselves under the illusion that we can stop time, stifle the interactions of humans to obtain learning outcomes, and delude ourselves into believing that specific results can be obtained and described by or with precision. We have to think of engaging in curriculum design as a drawing, a map, or a blueprint, or even a draft. The complexity of the blueprint rests upon what one wishes to construct. Now let's say, for an example, if you are an architect in here, all humans think about the building, a bridge, or a house. Now, but for the educators, the draft is a design that is a composition or a layout that hopefully results in impacting the brain in ways that enable learning at the multiple levels. Thus, learning and, more importantly, understanding are never completely attained. Each day, we commence and enrich our educational journeys. Likewise, there is a plethora. When you say plethora, means that it is a large or something that is excessive. It is a viewpoints as to the educational purposes of various curricular schemes. The challenge of the curriculum designer and the developer is to deal with what we know and what we think. Now we have to be creative in our behaviors to address partial truths and various myths and people believe about education and educators and the general public's embrace of curriculum's proper aims. Based on the four relevant myths of David Orr, when you say myth, it is all about a fiction, a traditional story. So we have this a lot. Now the first myth in here is that education is the right curriculum and good curriculum design can eliminate ignorance. The second myth is that education and well-designed curricula can supply all the knowledge needed to manage society and the earth. Now, the third myth on here is that educational curricula are increasing human goodness. Well-designed curricula instill wisdom. The fourth myth is that education's primary purpose is to enable students to be upwardly mobile and economically successful. Based on David Orr, some people argue on the word reducing ignorance. We have to help people manage society, increase wisdom, and foster upward mobility. But do you think, what is education for? Can we actually agree upon the purpose? Now, you would think after all the discussion on reforming education, creating curricula to make us competitive in the world, economic and health problems, we would be close to an answer. Based on Ron Richard, informed us that we educate, create, and teach curricula to create intelligence. But does intelligence guarantee eliminating ignorance? Does it foster human goodness? Is teaching for intelligence making students smarter? And what does smart mean? Now, Richard noted, and these authors concur, that schools, even with all the discussions about reforms and revised curricula, still teach to fill students with knowledge and skills rather than making them competent thinkers. We have another in here. Agan notes that there is no knowledge restored or literacy in libraries and computer databases. What is stored are symbols that trigger awareness of knowledge. Therefore, in contemplating curriculum design, we need careful reflection of how our selected design and related educational materials facilitate symbol processes in knowledge development. Despite the complexities of this new century, we educators are all charged with making curricular decisions, starting with curriculum design. Teachers in the classroom engage in curriculum design and implementation when making lesson plans and instructional units, and all need to address the following questions. What should be done? What subject matter should be included? Now, what instructional strategies, resources, and activities should be employed? What methods and instruments should be used to appraise the results of curriculum? What are the sources of curriculum design? We have to remember that the sources of curriculum design are the same as the person's philosophy. How a person views the world and the experiences they have had impacts. No, they design and conceptualize curriculum. There are many sources of curriculum design, and among them include science, morals, learners, knowledge, and society. Now, science as a source, we have to remember some curriculum workers rely on the scientific method when designing curriculum. Their design contains only observable and quantifiable elements. Problem solving is prioritized. Next in here, the design emphasizes learning, how to learn. We have to be advocated, of problem solving procedure, reflect our understanding of science and organization of knowledge. Some educators think the curriculum should prioritize the teaching of thinking strategies. With knowledge increasing so rapidly, the only constant seems to be the procedures by which we process knowledge is society. Because society is a source. Society as a curriculum source believe that school is an agent of society and should draw its curriculum ideas from analysis of the social situation. Next in here is the individuals with this orientation believe heavily in the socialization function of schooling. Curriculum designers must consider current and future society at the local, national, global levels. Educators must realize that schools function not only with social communities but with political ones as well. Now, political pressure on schools continues at the local, state, and the national levels. We have next in here the moral doctrines as a source. Now, these persons emphasize that they view as lasting truths advanced by the great thinkers of the past. Their designs stress content and rank some subjects as more important than others. Curriculum design should be guided by the Bible or other religious texts. Spiritual individuals develop empathy and compassion. We have to consider on here, they consider and promote the welfare of others. They welcome differing viewpoints. Spiritual curriculum designers ask questions about the nature of the world, the purpose of the life, and what it means to be human and knowledgeable. In here, the next is the knowledge as a source. Now, teaching such valued knowledge stimulates and develops minds of learners. The result of such learning enables students to apprehend the world closer to the real reality. In contrast, environmental education is undisciplined, in that its content is drawn from various disciplines and adapted to a special focus. The challenge to those who accept knowledge is that primary source of curricular design is that knowledge is exploding exponentially. But the time for engaging students with curriculum is not increasing. Learners as a source. Some believe that the curriculum should derive from our knowledge. Of students, it means that how they learn, form attitudes, generate interest, and develop values. For progressive curricularists, humanistic educators and many curricularists engage in postmodern dialogue. The learner should be primary source of curriculum design. Let's understand conceptual framework on here. We have horizontal and a vertical organization. In a horizontal organization, this blends curriculum elements. For example, by combining history, anthropology, and sociology content to create a contemporary studies course, or by combining math and science content. Vertical organization refers to the sequencing of curriculum elements, placing the family in the first grade social studies. The community is a second grade social studies is an example of a vertical organization. Now, curriculum design reflects the curriculum's architecture. Here, some of the usual or the useful points to consider in building an effective curriculum design. You have to reflect on your philosophical, educational, and curriculum assumptions with regards to the goals of the school. You have to consider your student needs and aspirations. You have to consider the various design components and their organization. You have to sketch out the various design components to be implemented. We have to cross-check your selected design components. We have there the objectives, content, learning experiences, and evaluation approaches against the school's missions. Now you have to share your curriculum design with a colleague. You have next to know about it is design dimension considerations. We have there the scope. In scope, the curriculum designers must consider a curriculum's breadth and depth of content. That is its scope. Includes all the types of educational experiences created to engage students in learning. Now, it includes both cognitive and affective learning. When considering scope, we must consider learning's cognitive, affective, and psychomotor domains. We might add the moral or the spiritual domain also. So we must determine what will be covered and in what detail within each domain. We must decide also which domain should be the most emphasized. Traditionally, the cognitive domain, drawing on the realm of knowledge, has been most emphasized. At the secondary level of schooling, we frequently draw on disciplines of knowledge and their main concepts to determine the curriculum scope. Next in here is the sequence. When considering sequence, curricularists, seek a curriculum that fosters cumulative and continuous learning. Curriculum designers are also influenced by current research on brain development. With increasing work in neuroscience, specifically developmental neurobiology, scientists are gaining understanding, leading to ways to create educational agendas to enable educators to create educational environments that contain experiences that will greatly affect the individual's brain. Ideally, curricular experiences should maximize brain development. Curricularists faced with sequencing contents have drawn on some fairly well-accepted learning principles. In 1957, B. Othniel Smith, William Stanley, and Harlan Schools introduced 4 such principles. We have the simple to complex learning, prerequisite learning, whole to part learning, and chronological learning. These principles still have worked. In here, in a simple complex learning indicates that Content is optimally organized in a sequence proceeding from simple subordinate components to complex components, highlighting interrelationships among components. Optimal learning results when individuals are presented with easy, often concrete, content and then with more difficult, often abstract content. Now, prerequisite learning is similar to part to whole learning. It works on the assumption that bits of information must be grasped before other bits can be comprehended. Whole to part learning receives support from cognitive psychologists. They have urged that the curriculum be arranged so that the content or experience is first presented in an overview that provides students with a general idea of the information or situation. In chronological learning, this refers to the content whose sequence reflects the times of real-world occurrences. History, political science, and world events frequently are organized chronologically. Next in here is the integration. This refers to linking all types of knowledge and experiences. This contained within the curriculum plan. Essentially, it links all the curriculum pieces so that students comprehend knowledge as unified rather than atomized. Integration emphasizes horizontal relationships among topics with themes from all knowledge domains. Next is articulation. This refers to the vertical and horizontal interrelatedness, of the curriculum. To the ways of which curriculum components occurring later in the program sequence, this relates to those occurring earlier. When they engage in horizontal articulation, curriculum makers seek to blend contents in one part of the educational program with contents similar in logic or subject matter. For example, curricularists might link mathematical and scientific thinking. Much of the current emphasis on integrating the curriculum is an effort at horizontal articulation. We have on here the balance. When designing a curriculum, educators strive to give appropriate weight to each aspect of the design. In a balanced curriculum, students can acquire and use knowledge in ways that advance their personal, social, and intellectual goals. This keeping the curriculum balanced requires continuous fine-tuning as well as balance in our philosophy and psychology of learning. Now we have the statements that identify some steps one can take in designing a curriculum. These statements, drawn from observations of school practice, are applicable to whatever design is selected. We have to create a curriculum design committee composed of teachers, parents, community members, administrators, and, if appropriate, students. Create a schedule for meeting to make curriculum design decisions. You have to gather data about educational issues and suggested solutions. You have to also process data on available curriculum designs and compare designs with regard to advantages and disadvantages, such as cost, scheduling, class size, student population, characteristics, students' academic strengths, adequacy of learning, environments, and match with existing curricula. Also, assess whether the community is likely to accept the design. In the schedule, you have to do the schedule time to reflection of the design. You have to schedule the time revision of the design. You have to explain the design to educational colleagues also, community members, and if appropriate, also with the students. The next part in here is the representative curriculum designs. So this talks about the subject-centered design. For example, in acknowledge that content as well as accepted as integral parts of the curriculum. So the subject-centered designs have the most classifications. So concepts central to a culture are more highly elaborated than peripheral ones. So in our culture, content is central to schooling. Therefore, we have many concepts to interpret our diverse organizations. Let's say in a subject design. The subject design in both it is the oldest and the best known school design to both teachers and laymen. So teachers and laymen usually are educated or trained in schools employing it. So the subject design, this corresponds to textbooks, treatment, and teachers training as subject specialists. It is also emphasized because of the continued stress on school standards and accountability. So the learning is compartmentalized. It stresses so much the content and forgets about students' natural tendencies, interests, and experiences. It is very easy to use because of its availability. It can be available in bookstores, a library, and even online. So for example, in a curriculum of an Ed 111 and Ed 121, it has a different curriculum in BE Ed, Gen Ed, compared also to the curriculum of the BS Biology. So for example, in a discipline design, the discipline design is based on content's inherent organization. However, whereas the subject design does not make clear the foundational basis on which it is organized or established, the discipline design's orientation specify its focus on the academic disciplines. So this stress on the discipline, the knowledge emphasizes science, mathematics, English, history, and certain other disciplines. This advocates view the school as a microcosm of the world of intellect, reflected by such disciplines. Like students in history should learn the issues of historians, students in biology should learn the issues of sciences. These methods is only used in college, not in the lower levels. So the correlation designs, for example. In the correlation designs, this create a broad field design, but realize there are times when separate subjects require linkage to avoid fragmentation of curricular content. So midway between separate subjects and total content integration, the correlation design attempts to identify ways in which subjects can be related, yet maintain their separate identities. Like, for example, English literature is correlated to the subject social studies. So this subject is having a link on the issues and information, while science is also correlated with mathematics, because some of the scientific explanations still has mathematical solutions. In a broad field design, this is an interdisciplinary. So educators consider the fragmentation and compartmentalization caused by the subject design. So the educators consider the fragmentation and the compartmentalization caused by the subject design itself. So this appeared to be an effort to correct. Then they attempted to integrate content that fit together logically. So geography, economics, political science, anthropology, sociology, and history were fused into social studies. So the linguistics, grammar, literature, composition, and spelling were collapsed also into a language arts. Biology, chemistry, and physics were also integrated into a general sciences. So this process, the science, also the same. So the content, the attention is often given to the procedures and the processes by which individuals obtain knowledge. Students are studying biology, learn methods for dealing with biological knowledge. Students in history classes learn the ways of historiography, and students investigating anthropology learn ethnographic procedures appropriate for studying culture and society. Although advocates of the discipline's designs urge students to learn process, other educators are suggesting curricular designs that stress the learning of a general procedure applicable to all disciplines. Process designs focus on the teaching for intelligence and on the development of intellectual character. Now, the process designs emphasize those procedures that enable students to analyze reality and create frameworks by which to arrange derived knowledge. Next in here is the learner-centered designs. So in a learner-centered designs, these designs appear more frequently at the elementary and preschool levels than in the secondary school level. In a preschool, kindergarten, and elementary schools, teachers tend to stress the whole child. So teachers create opportunities for children to develop personal interests, playing an important vehicle of learning. So students under the guidance of teachers are free to get absorbed in an activity, to actually craft their own experience. Next part is a child-centered design. In a child-centered design, this advocates of child or student-centered design. This belief that students must be active in their learning environments, and that learning should not be separated from students' lives, as is often the case with subject-centered designs. So instead, the design should be based on the students' lives, needs, and interests. So attending to students' needs and interests requires careful observation of students and faith that they can articulate those needs and interests. Also, young students' interests must have educational value. Next part in here is the experience-centered design. In an experience-centered design, curriculum designs closely resemble child-centered designs. In the children's concerns are the basis for organizing children's schoolwork. However, they differ from a child-centered designs in that children's needs and interests cannot be anticipated. Therefore, a curriculum framework cannot be planned for all children. So, in an experience-centered curriculum, the emphasis of the design is not on teaching or on learning, but on the activity. Let's say, for example, in a problem-centered design, this is the next one. The third major type of curriculum design, problem-centered design, this focus on the real-life problems of individuals and society. So this also designs as the intended to reinforce cultural. So these traditions and address unmet needs of the community and society. They are based on the social issues. And next is the life situation design. In the life situation design, one strength of the life situations design is its focus on problem-solving procedures. So process and content are effectively integrated into curricular experience. Another strong feature of the life situation design is that it uses learners' past and present experiences to get them to analyze the basic aspects of living. Now, in this respects, the design significantly differs from experience-centered design, in which the felt needs and the interest the learners are the sole basis for content and experience selection. Reconstructionist design. This is the next one. The curriculum should foster social action aimed at reconstructing society. It should promote society's social, political, and economic development. These educators want curricula to advance social justice. The primary purpose of the social reconstructionist curriculum is to engage students in critical analysis of the local, national, and international community in order to address humanity's problems. So attention is given to the political practices of business and government groups of their impact on the workforce. The curriculum encourages industrial and political changes. Curriculum design has different frameworks. It is we have to talk about the operational curriculum. It's the curriculum that actually gets taught or that emerge as a result of the teacher selecting particular aspects of the planned curriculum. And the teachers decide what aspects of the content to stress. So what materials to use, for example, what experiences to provide students, and what motivational prompts to employ. So the next part is the hidden curriculum. As previously indicated, this arises from the interactions among students and between the students and teachers. Essentially, the hidden curriculum presents content and understanding that are implicit in the operational curriculum. So the hidden curriculum can be influenced by the sequencing and the emphasis of the operational curriculum content and engage experiences. So the null curriculum, this example, as discussed by Eisner, refers also the curriculum content. So these the values and experiences that are omitted by the teacher but recognized as being ignored by students, the community, or both. So they often are controversial topics. Also the null curriculum can relate to ways of learning. So some schools, even though they might deny it, do not want students taught to challenge authority. So now that's all for this video, and please don't forget to click the like button and subscribe button to update for the upcoming videos. Now once again, this is John Vincent Villas Pintoliate, your leading partner in education.